How y'all doing on Instagram, family? All right. Facebook family, how you doing today? All right.
Now we're live. Hello, everyone.
Hello, Facebook family. How you guys doing? Instagram family. So we're going back and forth as usual on both cameras.
Yeah, so how's everybody doing? We are live on Instagram.
Yeah.
Hello, Instagram. We're live on Facebook. Hey there, how you guys doing? And we're super excited for another day, another week of being able to come together and talk about the things of God.
Yeah. Well, life in general. I mean, just life in general, right?
Sorry. We just got out of prayer sometimes, and when God is on your mind. But it's not just about the God message, but it's about life messages. Yeah. And we want to again welcome you guys and to remind you that I'm here my name is Letitia, and I'm here with my hubby, Gary, my partner.
How you doing, everyone?
And we want to, of course, remind you how important it is to choose yourself.
Yes.
The I Choose Me message, of course, is about creating a lifestyle of balance for yourself.
Yeah, such a very powerful message. Something that you can not only just, sometimes there are certain cliches in life, but you can literally experience this and feel the excitement of when you come to that revelation of being able to choose yourself, because you are a blessing not only to yourself but a blessing to others.
That's right. And then of course we said that you do that by choosing to be emotionally, mentally, physically, spiritually, and financially and vocationally healthy first. Yeah. Why? So that you can be of service to others.
I love that.
And we've said it time and time again that just like they say on the airplanes when they're given directions, in case of an emergency, make sure you take care of yourself first.
Yeah.
And buckle up, put your mask on, do whatever you need to do.
Situate yourself first.
Right, so that you can help the person next to you.
Absolutely.
And so again, it's okay for you to choose you first.
Yeah.
As a matter of fact, it's incredibly important for you to choose you first. And even Jesus did it, right?
Absolutely.
And before he came and started his prayer ministry, he took care of himself in prayer, right?
Ministry altogether,
his total ministry. So he made sure that he was healthy first, spiritually, and doing what he needed to do to take care of himself.
Absolutely.
And so this week we're super excited because we're talking about relationships.
Buckle up. This is a very adult, mature conversation, and we believe and pray that those who are with us today will glean some positive truths from what will be spoken today.
Absolutely, absolutely. And we're thankful that we've been married for 30 years. Or over 30 years now. And we have come to a greater understanding of relationships and the purpose of relationships and how to handle them more effectively. And so we're super excited about the opportunity to share with you all. And again, it's called Let's Talk About Relationships and When They Leave. And all of it is based on a workshop that my husband and I host that's called OPS, or Overcoming Procrastination for Success. And so that particular workshop is called Intentional Relationship.
I love that. I love that, because that really goes into the foundation of what the scripture talks about. In Ecclesiastes chapter 3 verse 1, it says, "For everything there's a season, and a time for every purpose under heaven," which lets us know that in those parameters it is both okay to have that long-lasting relationship, but also it's okay to know when that relationship no longer holds its intentional value from whence it first began. So it's good to understand that in the scripture outlines that for us
Right,
very clearly.
and so again, G said is Ecclesiastes 3:1, to everything there is a season. And everything is a key word too, right? And that includes relationships, right? And so in some relationships there's a season. In ours, we have determined that our season is a lifetime.
Yeah.
So as long as we're here on the earth, that we're, as we mentioned, that we've been married for 30 years. So we have determined that this is a lifelong season for us, and it's and then of course we'll talk about some of the parameters and some of the purposes behind some things, and maybe not necessarily the exact purpose, because the purpose is defined by what you say the purpose is for your particular relationship.
That individual who's walking in that area of life, that particular season of life, based on the purpose in which they're operating in that relationship, they understand and should know the parameters within that relationship in order to make the determination whether or not that is still something that should be pursued.
Right, and so we defined intentional relationships by Get Up, You Big Fat Procrastinator. And as we are going on, we want to encourage you to invite other people to join in on this session and share with other people, because we believe the information that we're sharing is life-changing and it's extremely helpful to you.
Invaluable.
And so many of us, whomever, we look at TikToks and Instagram and what have you for entertainment and watch people jump around and do goofy kind of stuff and then go, oh, that entertains me. But there's some life-changing information that helps us, especially in this time and in this season, that we like to bring forth in maturity. Right?
I like to say that this is you investing in yourself.
Oh, yes.
Right. So it's instead of being reactive, this is a way of being proactive to make sure that you are putting yourself in a position where that you can be successful, investing in yourself. So therefore, if those obstacles were to occur, you know how to handle them. You're not afraid. You're not caught off guard. You know exactly what to do when the time arrives.
Intentional relationships, defined by Get Up, You Big Fat Procrastinator, is the coming together of two or more people.
I love that.
With like core values and common goals within a divine specific purpose that meets the needs of each individual, with the idea of creating a union for a specific season or a lifetime. Intentional relationships. And we said that procrastinating, when you procrastinate in developing or even letting go of relationships, can delay your promotion to your next.
Wow. You really said a mouthful there. I mean, we can go in a vast area, but let's sort of keying that into specifics. One thing came to mind is I know a gentleman now is playing in the NFL who ran across a season in his life where that he had to make really tough decisions based on his career, based on the relationship that which he established, and new relationship that he had to build in order to proceed with his life, and that is Jalen Hurts, former quarterback for the Alabama. I like awesome young man. Who has done an incredible job with being able to move in such a smooth transition without any level of backlash or any type of negativity based on the decision that he's made. So he was well prepared for those situations and was able to move. I would like to call a spirit of grace in those situations.
Well, then I really like that you brought up Jalen Hurts, because as we mentioned in the definition of intentional relationships, he, for example, because there's so many different types of relationships, but he, for example, based on the definition, it was the coming together of two or more people. So it was Jalen Hurst and his family coming together with Alabama, and they had like values, right? They had common goals with a divine specific purpose that meets the needs of each individual, right?
That's right.
And we said for creating a union for a specific season, or maybe a lifetime, but for him it's for a specific season,
that's
right?
Exactly.
Or other athletes or whomever, right? And then and we said that when you procrastinate in developing that relationship, or you let go of that relationship, you delay your promotion to your next. And we know, of course, that Jalen went to his next because of his, the purpose that we can talk about later if you want to. And then there are people like, in a business situation like a Steve Jobs, for instance, where we know that Apple would not be where Apple is now had it not been for him making an adjustment. Now, he was forced out. Right? Because that's an example of when they leave or when you're forced out or the relationship is dismantled, right?
Exactly.
But, of course, he went on to find Next. That's one of his companies.
Actually, move to the next. But
he found Next and moved to the next, right? And then, of course, he went over to Lucasfilm, which is now Pixar. And then, of course, back to Apple. But it was a mutually beneficial relationship. And there are all types of relationships, right? And every relationship has a possibility of dismantling, falling or growing apart, breaking up, or moving on by either one of the parties, right? And so there's you put yourself in either one of these, in a marital relationship, a dating relationship, a business one, friendships, church, sporting kind of relationships. And we want to be clear about one of them, right? And that's the marital relationship.
The marital relationship that by no means we're promoting or wanting someone to separate from their mate, because the purpose of this conversation is about creating a balance, not necessarily going into finding ways to kind of walk out. Like you said, we've been married for 30 years, and we made a decision that is a lifelong season based on the relationship, the agreement of the relationship in which we've established. So I just want to make sure that we're clear and that we're talking about.
We're not advocating marital divorce.
Yeah. No, we're talking about being able to identify a toxic, potential toxic relationship, right, that could derail an individual and then cause other situations to occur. For example, like frustration, mental, unhealthiness, or unsettling rest. So we want to be able to encourage you to know how to identify these things and give you some tools in how to overcome those situations.
That's right. And then, of course, we also just want to make sure that if you're in that situation, that there are righteous reasons for divorce, like abuse, adultery, and whatnot. And we just want to be clear, again, that we're not advocating marital divorce, but unless, of course, it's necessary for you. But it's important for you to choose yourself.
Absolutely.
And in our workshop, we talk about the purpose of relationships. And we say one thing is that there is a divine order to life and relationships. And when you're not operating in that divine order, it leads to the frustration and chaos. It
really leads to frustration. I mean, you're talking about from a divine order. There's several scriptures, but I will highlight one because we talked about one already. But in Amos 3:3, it says, "Can we walk together except we agree?"
Exactly.
Right? So I love how the Amplify says it. The Amplify says it that we must make an appointment. In other words, we must establish why we're together.
Yes.
And not only we must establish the why, but then we have to agree upon the why in order to develop and mature the relationship as we move forward, as we walk together, as Amos says. How can we walk together unless except we agree.
And that helps people and helps anybody that when we're in different types of relationships or situations or whatnot, that the Word of God is a foundational truth, right? And if you can continue to rely on the Word, then it helps you in your relationship development.
Absolutely.
And it helps you in your decision making.
Absolutely.
And one of the ways that you measure whether or not you're in divine order, or if you are not, or you wanting to come back frustration and chaos, is in that relationship. Is it building you up mentally? Is it building you up physically?
Yes.
Is it building you up emotionally, spiritually, and or financially even?
Absolutely.
Right? And so it's important again to be reminded that there is a divine order to not just life, but then also relationships. And I love Amos 3:3. That's a good one, baby. That's a real, real good one. And then second, the purpose of your relationship, as you alluded to in Amos 3:3, is it needs to be absolutely communicated or identified clearly with yourself, got it? Or the person or group that you're in a relationship with, right? It has to be a clear, the purpose of a relationship has to be clear. And one of the things that we decided as a couple is that we want to procreate. We want to, live life on purpose together.
That's right.
We want to have a friendship, a lifelong friendship with each other, and so on and so forth, right? And so I think that it's important that that people that are in any kind of relationship that is communicated, whether it's in a contract because of your business, got it, or whatever it is, but that it is clearly communicated. Either you're communicating it with yourself or you're communicating it back and forth with your friends.
Absolutely.
And then there's all types of levels of communication.
Dating. Well, you said communication, but all types of relationships, right? Dating, businesses, whether you're operating in a church atmosphere or are you a professional athlete. There's so many different realms of type of relationships.
You spoke earlier about Jalen, right? So Jalen, this is how you're identifying and understanding purposes, right, and communicating them. He came or went to Alabama for a specific purpose, and the purpose is to be a quarterback in the NFL. Starting quarterback at Alabama, because he know that if I'm a starting quarterback at Alabama and I do well, then the chances of me getting into the NFL increase, right? And so that was his plan. That was his purpose. It's identified. I know that. That's what it was. However, things change for them and they put somebody else in that position.
Right.
So no longer is his purpose being fulfilled at Alabama. So he had to make an adjustment, right? So that he's always in an atmosphere where he's developing relationships so that he can be promoted to his next.
Exactly. I love what you said. That is really, really good, because let's just say
people get frustrated when they don't know.
Exactly.
Or if they stay too long, right?
If you stay there, there's a possibility of, frustration. There's a possibility of,
definitely
I call it unrighteous intentions when the purpose is not being, when a person's
you're
purpose,
not in divine order.
You're not in divine order, so it creates a level of chaos. So it was very good for him to have, and that's why. So I want to say this to you, loved ones, is if you enter into a relationship, know what the purpose of that relationship is, so you do not get stagnant or non-productive in that relationship. And we'll talk more about that as we go on today. But that's a beautiful example about Jalen being able to identify that his original intent and purpose of being there was no longer being met.
Right.
But
so
he was absolutely
doing it the right way. Yeah, he did it the right
being
way.
able to make an adjustment, right? And that was a mutual agreement. And the words that I want you to capture here, that was a mutual agreement in his transition. I love that. Right. So it wasn't that he he left on bad terms. It wasn't.
But
It
that's
wasn't
because
that he was.
the purpose was identified at the beginning.
Exactly.
And so
That's
that it's
exactly.
no longer being met. That's okay. And the same thing that in this is, may sting a little bit, but maybe not. But even in a church setting, sometimes there is a time when it's a time to leave, right?
Mm-hmm.
And sometimes it could be because they are no longer, or that particular location is no longer fulfilling the overall purpose for your life. Or maybe God said it's time. You got exactly what you needed from at that time in that season, and it's time to move on. And it's okay to leave.
Absolutely.
And if anyone makes you feel guilty for leaving, shame on them.
Yeah.
And then shame
absolutely.
on you if you stay in a relationship that is no longer mutually beneficial. And shame on you if you're staying when somebody else needs to be in that seat.
Exactly. When
right?
you serve your purpose.
Yeah.
And whether it's ministry, whether it's in business, whether it's in sports, it's very important for you to identify that. I'm gonna share something with you, right? And this is gonna be a revelation for most folks.
Ooh, I can't wait.
Do you know Jesus Christ walked this earth for 33 years?
Mm-hmm.
And do you know throughout that whole process of time, he developed strong relationship with people who he needed to develop relationship.
Right.
But when it was time for him to go, the scripture says Jesus made a comment to his disciples, and he shared that with us as well, that there will be another that will come to assist you in the same purpose in which I was here doing earthly ministry. In other words, Jesus had to go to the cross for our sins so that we could be renewed, we could be reborn in order for us to experience a total fulfilled life, and therefore we can experience life in abundance, right? And so his relationship with us during that time, the relationship with those who he was with, had to come to an end in order to fulfill the ultimate purpose.
Right. So that he could be promoted to his next,
that he
and
can
so that we could be promoted to our next. Oh man,
absolutely.
That's good stuff.
Yeah.
And then again, even in dating relationships too, you have to ask yourself the question: why am I in this relationship?
Yeah.
Is it mutually beneficial?
Absolutely.
And then you want to make sure that you're very specific about what you want regarding any type of relationship, even the dating relationship. And eventually, those relationships may move on, they may dismantle, and that's okay. You cannot hold people hostage.
Absolutely.
Got it? And then even in friendships, of course, know your why. These come and go, and people move on.
Yes.
Maybe those relationships have run their course.
Absolutely.
Right? In our workshop, we also talk about removing ineffective relationships, and we said removing relationships, and you just said it, is a natural and a spiritual process.
Yes.
So, like a natural, for instance, a lot of us hang out, we're back in our head and in relationships. We're 50, 60 years old, and all the people that we hang out with are, our high school friends. You know what I mean? And that's okay. If that's what your desire is and it's fulfilling the purpose of that relationship, that's completely cool. But then sometimes you have to, it's natural because Abraham did it, right?
Yeah.
It's a natural process or not just Abraham in the spiritual process, but then it's natural for me and you. For instance, we came together and we joined together in a union, and it was natural for us to maybe leave some of those relationships that we had before, right? So when they leave, it's a natural thing for that to happen. And then, of course, with Abraham leaving his kinship, right? Because it's a spiritual process as well. It's a natural thing. And when you're in a relationship and you don't know why, you're just there, that's an ineffective relationship.
That's a very ineffective relationship. And
like,
matter of fact, it actually creates, and we use this word, and on purposely we use this word to really drive home the point that if there's not a purpose for that relationship, why you're together, if you're just hanging out, if you're going out to a ball game and you're just meeting, just hanging out, that's one thing. But when you actually in a relationship and you're developing a relationship with someone, it must have a purpose in order for it to be effective.
And then on both ends, it's important to know when a relationship is done, right? When you don't remove ineffective relationships, they can become toxic and dysfunctional.
Yes.
When you don't respect the spiritual process or even the natural process of removing a relationship, again, it becomes ineffective, and also they can become toxic and dysfunctional. And who wants to be in a relationship like that?
Absolutely.
Right? You just have to know when it's time to leave.
Absolutely.
There are, we talked about in the title, relationships and when they leave, or when you leave. It's not just the other party that's leaving, but sometimes you have to leave. And one of those is because the dynamics of the relationships have run their course. They no longer serve its purpose. And so we said that, you just said that a little bit earlier, that could happen in the work environment.
Yeah.
It's like, I came here so that I can be an intern.
Yeah.
Right? So we came into a mutually beneficial relationship as an intern at this particular company. It's going to be for 90 days, it's for 30 days, it's for a year or whatever. It's run its course, it's time to move
Absolutely.
on.
Absolutely.
You came and you wanted to be a superstar at this particular school, and you made a decision that I want to go here. It's run its course. I'm no longer on the court. I can't be a superstar at this location. I need to move on.
That's okay.
Yes, it's absolutely
okay.
I've as a kid, I played at this particular club or AAU team or what have you, and I got what I needed out of it. You got what you needed out of it. It's run its course. It's no longer serving my purpose. It's okay to leave on both sides.
Absolutely.
And then just as a reminder, as you continue to stay in those relationships, you hinder even another person from getting into that same position because you're hanging out there too long,
and yourself,
and then you can't be promoted to your next.
Absolutely,
right?
Absolutely.
And then you mentioned also another reason that people leave, when the relationship is stagnated. And there's no growth in that relationship. You got to check yourself.
And it's so funny. God has a way of showing us, because a lot of time there is this natural, migration that really, really kind of takes place, right? Where all of a sudden, person who you hung out all the time, you spoke to that person all the time.
Yeah.
You went places all the time together, but all of a sudden, the reason why you did things together no longer has its purpose,
and it doesn't even feel good,
and
right?
then you find yourself where I haven't spoke to that person in a week, then it turns into a month, then it turns into a year, because once that purpose is no longer there, right, then it becomes dysfunctional.
Yeah, and then there's no stagnation. Then there's stagnation and no growth. And then, of course, we've already mentioned that one of the reasons that people leave is because it's no longer mutually beneficial, or the other party may not be interested, or you may not be interested in anymore. And that's okay.
Absolutely,
it's okay. You want people that are have a great relationship with you. You want people that enjoy your company. You want people around you that are fulfilling the purposes. Boss.
This is all about. This is so powerful, and I mean, we're really wanting to come across and explain it in a very simplistic manner. But by all means, I want you to know this is such a very powerful lesson and workshop that I want you to truly glean from and understand it, because relationship is a foundation for which everything we do,
right.
We are truly the sum total of
all
those
relationships and
the experience in our lives. And so if you look at yourself today and you're not pointing in the right direction, you need to check the folks you're hanging out with.
That's exactly right. Exactly. And another reason that people leave, or you should leave as well, is because of toxic relationships. There's some relationships that are just not healthy, and it's important that either that person left because you're toxic, or you have to leave because somebody else is toxic. And toxic means that I'm not experiencing emotional, mental, spiritual healthiness. And so because I'm not experiencing that
Mm-hmm.
in whatever way, emotionally,
Mm-hmm.
mentally, or what have
Mm-hmm.
you, then the relationship leaves. It's one of the reasons that people leave. And then another one, this is really important, is that that's just not your person.
Yeah.
Have you seen those videos where people are like, we do everything together? She is, he is, they're just my person, right? And then if they're not your person, and this especially in a dating kind of relationship, if they're not your person, that's okay.
Absolutely.
If they're
Absolutely.
not your person, you don't want to remain in a relationship
Yeah.
if that person is not your person.
Are you willing to get in a foxhole with that person?
Yeah.
When it comes to
when it comes down to it, it's like,
challenging situations in life, would you want to be in a foxhole with that person?
and then
Would
how about this one? How about this one? I'm gonna keep that to myself. I'm gonna keep that one to myself. But yeah, in the foxhole.
Yeah,
Will you pull out your wallet? You know
Yeah,
what I mean? In
when
a dating relationship,
yeah, when it's,
right?
yeah.
When the rubber meets the road.
Yeah, when
are you willing to do that?
when it really goes beyond the level of normalcy, and that person or the other is in a gray area of life.
Well,
Are you willing
to stay in there? And can I please use this example?
Okay, go ahead. I don't know what you're about to say, y'all, but
I know
buckle up. Let's go.
Yeah, it's okay. It's easy.
Mm-hmm.
But even when me and you were dating,
Mm-hmm.
right before we got married, and we were making a decision that this is my person, right?
Right.
And when things got a little tough, and either one of us needed assistance in an area, we were like, "This is my person. I need to make sure that I'm
Mm-hmm.
taking care of my person," right?
Absolutely.
And so, if you're in a relationship and the person that you call yourself with, and they're not willing to really take care of you in a situation, is that really your person? And so, I just want to make sure that I throw that out there. And sometimes it can be financially, it could be spiritually, it could be emotionally, it could be mentally, whatever it is, right?
Oh, I
is
love
that
it.
is that your person?
I love
that's
it.
that
Girl,
foxhole, and that's what I love about
something.
you.
You
Yeah,
talking
when
about
we were dating, we only got a couple more minutes,
Yes.
but when we were dating and things were a little tough,
a 3/4 cord is not easily broken.
Baby, let me tell you, in a minute, we always crack up about this situation because I knew that, he was my person when, these girls are trying to flirt with him or whatever. And and one of them, kind of sat on his lap or whatever, and I had to lift her up and throw her across the room. That was back in the days. Back in the days,
yeah.
baby. But I was like, this is my person. And, I'm not advocating violence or whatever. But, it's really important that that we look out for each other.
Absolutely.
And whatnot. And then, two, real quick, that one more. And, God said it's time. So sometimes God said it's time, and then we gave the example of Abraham when he had to leave his kin, right? It's like leave your family and let's go on over here.
Abraham could not become the father of of nations if he
remained Abram.
Yeah, he can become Abraham.
That's exactly right. He couldn't be the father of nations.
Mm-hmm.
And then I don't know if we'll be experiencing what we're experiencing now without him making that decision and following through on what God called him to do.
Yeah, absolutely.
And even in the relationship when it's time to leave your mama and your dad, like our kids, my son, it's like we sent him on to South Kent years ago. And we believe that God said it was time at that time, right?
Even though it was
heartbreaking at first, but
it was
like,
heartbreaking, but
God said it's time, and so we
and
make
it's
that
proved.
very tough
It
decision.
was proven to be a very
and now
successful.
he's traveling all over the world.
He's traveling all over the world.
Mm-hmm. And then lastly, we want to talk about the importance of mending broken hearts from failed relationship, and we want to just remind you guys that when it's over, it's supposed to be over.
Absolutely.
And it's okay. And your heart, may be broken for a little while or what have you, and it's understandable, right? And then number two, as you're mending your broken heart, in failed relationships, that some relationships and some activities that are within those relationships are necessary to build your character.
Absolutely.
I remember years ago, and I still do this now with my team, but my coach, he would have us to do this drill. He called it CBs. And it was called character builders, right?
Mm-hmm.
And we're still doing them 30 something years later, right? And sometimes in relationships, you go through some things to build your character.
Absolutely. You learned to in certain situations. You mentioned your coach, and especially as an athlete, you learn to develop very tough skin, but you also learn how to develop very, very close relationships and know how to develop and nurture those relationships as you become teammates, and you up under that common purpose and that one goal. Mm-hmm.
And I like that because as you're building character, I'm sure all of us have experienced a relationship or what have you, and we're maybe brokenhearted from it. But then if we go back and we say, what did I learn from there?
Mm-hmm.
Why that relationship was necessary.
That is so important.
Yeah, that relationship was necessary for a season, and I'm okay with the character that I developed through that time and during that season, and I'm okay with moving on.
Yeah, absolutely.
And of course, relationships, number three, are part of the stepping stone to your ultimate destiny. And so I tell kids all the time, it's like, I'm so sorry that it's hard for me to remember names. I wish I was better at it, but my database is really, there's a lot of names that have gone through my mental database.
Yes.
And so, but a lot of those relationships that I've had over the years, and I'm sure that you can attest to it as well, that they are the stepping stone to your ultimate destiny.
Absolutely.
And if you trust God, even when you don't know it's time, God does you a favor and He removes relationships that are needed for your future. So sometimes you may not know it's time, and then God does you a favor, even if you feel like it's not a favor.
Absolutely.
But He'll do you the favor and He'll remove those relationships.
He sure will.
Yeah, and I talk about in one of my books on how a relationship was dismantled, and I thought I was going to lose my mind. For a minute. But thank God He removed that relationship.
And it doesn't, in certain situations, it doesn't feel good.
It doesn't feel good, and maybe you just don't know at that time that it's time for you to remove. Maybe you should have moved on a long time ago and you just hadn't. And then remember who you are. You are not the relationship.
Oh my God, I love this. This is okay. So this is for mature audience here. So, you're not the relationship.
Right.
This reminds me, if you ever want to be free and being able to understand who you are, this is why it's so empowered. We're empowering people to truly understand, the I choose me, because when you understand who you are, you understand that you're not the thing, right? That doesn't make you. And sometimes we get in relationships, and that's why it hurts so much, is because we've gotten so caught up in the relationship and lose who we are as a person identity. You have to be able to free yourself from that in order to gain some perspective.
That's so good. That's
yes.
so good. You're not the relationship. Remember who you are.
Remember
and then
who you
number
are.
6, and this is the last one. If you have to, take the time to grieve and to heal, even if you have to put a date on that thing. Like sometimes I've had to do that, where you tell grief, I give you 1 week, however long you need, a month or whatever it is that you need. But then after that, we want to encourage you to wash your face, stand tall, and set your focus on your next. It's okay to choose you first. Got it? And remember that we all go through times in our lives where we're dealing with relationships that feel great and relationships that don't feel too good.
Absolutely.
But we want to really remind you that when you procrastinate in developing that relationship, or if you procrastinate in letting go of that relationship, it can delay your promotion to your next. And when they leave, it's okay for them to leave. Now we understand the purpose of relationships, and we talked about why people leave. When they leave, it's completely okay.
Because we want you to be mentally, spiritually strong,
yes,
physically healthy in every area of your life. This is so important towards promotion.
Well, Gary, I really enjoyed the time that we spoke regarding relationships. And just as a reminder, we also host a workshop. It's called OPS, Overcoming Procrastination for Success.
Powerful.
We're looking at doing some other things with that, and we'll talk to you guys more about it. If you, of course, are interested in the workshop, you can visit LetitiaBrown.com, LetitiaBrown.com, LATISHA. Brown.com, and then of course let us know that you're interested in the workshop. And I want to remind people about what my mama said. My mom has gone on to be with the Lord, and basically her deathbed, she said, Letitia, don't be afraid to get out of the boat and walk on water.
So important.
Right?
So
and
important.
So our encouragement to you as well is don't be afraid to get out of the boat and walk on water. And when she told me that, I wrote the book, Get Up, You Big Fat Procrastinator. And I think that this is an exceptional book. If you don't have it, especially if you are in a church setting or group settings or what have you, we want to
even in business, by the way.
Absolutely.
Because there are some things in there that is sound breaking.
Right.
The DOS effect. If you haven't heard that yet, you heard it here first.
And then, of course, you know, we talk about things like the toss, which, of course, I don't know if you guys can see that or not, but it's such a good book, and we want to encourage you to visit the website at LetitiaBrown.com and you know, pick up your book there. And then, of course, as you see, Gary and I are rocking these new hoodies. The ICM is the new logo. ICM is, can I see that? The ICM is the new logo. That's pretty cool. And this particular hoodie has the I Choose Me on the sleeve. I think it's real cool. And then
you get the whole, if you get the whole sweatsuit, it's
then,
really
course,
the bomb. Yeah,
like,
it's really the
lift your
bomb.
arm up so they can see as well. Yeah, so we have it here. We have it, you know, on the shoulder.
Yeah.
And so we are very thankful that you join us, and we pray that you have a blessed day. In the city of Houston, it's a rainy day.
Yeah.
And I love rainy days.
But that word brings sunshine.
Yeah, the word brings sunshine.
Yeah.
God bless you all today.
God bless. Y'all take
Make
care.
sure you share. Tell people about it.
All
God
right.
bless you real good.
All right.
Bye-bye
Bye-bye.
now. X. Go up to X. And
Ooh, that rain is coming down. I was going to cut my yard today. Yes.